Yeah, so I mean, really earth-shattering type stuff going on there. I mean, so many investors losing money, and we're not talking about just small investors. There was big money involved with investments in FTX, and obviously they're going to probably get zero back as well. So I think if there's anything positive to take from this, and this is definitely not a great thing, but the positive would be is that it's going to force the regulators to get some framework out to create transparency. And the biggest thing for crypto is that after FTX, there's no one with big money that is going to come into the crypto sector until there's regulation. So as bad as regulation, as much as we don't want over regulation, we need some sort of kind of framework that creates more transparency. So investors, when you put your money on an exchange, you shouldn't have to worry if it'll vanish tomorrow. That should not even be a thought. The only thing you should be worrying about is your investment in Bitcoin or Ethereum going to go up or down. So I think that's the key. I think in general, this is the beginning of the final leg down in crypto. We're still going to go lower. I have it priced to go maybe down to 9,000, 10,000, but I think this will be the final flush. I think that when we bottom out, it will be a combination of regulation that gets us out, as that will draw big money into the space.
Crypto markets seem to have turned a corner after the collapse of Sam Bankman-Fried's crypto empire. In the last 24 hours, Bitcoin has risen roughly 1.5% and is trading at just over $16,600. On the weekly, however, the market's largest cryptocurrency is still in the red. Ethereum also posted modest gains on Thanksgiving Day, rising 4% in the past day and hitting $1,200 at press time. Hello and welcome to Money Talks. In today's video, Gareth Soloway of Verified Investing Crypto in themoneystocks.com updates about the FTX scandal, crypto future, Bitcoin, the coming recession, the plight of big and other recent events and their effects on markets.
It's really looking more and more. So there's going to be major support around 12 to 13,000, but I do think it even breaks that and probably gets to about 9,000. I'll show my chart here to give us all kind of a basis of the thought process here. So number one, with Bitcoin, if we look at the comparisons between Lehman Brothers collapse and FTX, there was about 5 to 6 months where it took for it to bottom. The stock market, the S&P, dropped about 45% further once after Lehman Brothers announced. And so by doing that math, it comes out to be about $9,000 where Bitcoin would bottom. And that would be a bottom in around May of 2023. And then the other interesting thing is if you zoom out on the chart, if you look at a trend line going back to before the 2017 bull run, the lows of the bear market in 2018, the lows of COVID here in 2020, there's a trend line that comes here. There's a downsloping one from this pivot to this pivot, and they both kind of coordinate right underneath $9,000. So for me, that's kind of giving me, you have the fundamental side of mirroring the Lehman Brothers collapse, and then you also have the technical trend lines of returning to kind of these scenes of the crime where these kind of the Bitcoin chart really bottomed out and began to move up. So to me, it makes sense that you're looking at about a $9,000 target before all is said and done. And I think, by the way, I think one of the cool things about that is that it's really not that far away. Percentage-wise, yes, it's a decent percentage drop from here. But I mean, when you think about Bitcoin at 69,000 to 16, and now you're talking about 16 to 9. I mean, it's literally like comparatively that tiny of a move. So as a bull long term on crypto and on Bitcoin, I'm excited. I'm like, okay, now we're getting close to the bottom, hopefully.
The world's largest and most popular digital token, Bitcoin's price today was trading over 1% higher at $16,682. On the other hand, Ether, the coin linked to the Ethereum blockchain and the second largest cryptocurrency, also rose by more than 3% to $1,200. The global crypto market cap today remained below the $1 trillion mark, even as it over 4% higher in the last 24 hours to $873 billion as per data by CoinGecko.
Yeah, so I do think that there will be more entities that go bankrupt. I'm looking at FTX as being kind of the biggest of them out there. So I think that you'll have a lot of ancillary, companies that are smaller that had investments with FTX. Last week we heard about Genesis and some of these other ones. So I do think that there will be more bankruptcies, but my guess is, and my hope is that FTX was the biggest. And this is kind of, to me, this is the Lehman Brothers event. If you go back to 2008, during the financial crisis, Lehman Brothers went bankrupt. It shook the world of investors, but ultimately it was the beginning of the end. You flushed for about 6 more months in the stock market before putting in an epic bottom. And from that bottom in the stock market, we went up hundreds of percentage points to the all-time highs that we saw in 2021.
Most cryptocurrencies rebounded from their recent declines. Bitcoin has surged by 3% in the past 24 hours, reacting to the news of Coinbase having 2 million BTC reserves as the end of Q3.
I think that people are going to become much more selective in a bear market right now in what they invest in. But ultimately, I still think Ethereum survives. I think Bitcoin survives. And I'm sure there's a handful of other coins that have major use cases that will survive. So I think that, again, one of the things, and we saw this in 2018 and 19 after the 2017 big bull run, is that everyone was saying, when it was trading, when Bitcoin went back to 3,500, oh, Bitcoin's done, crypto's over. That's actually what I look for to tell me that we're getting close to a bottom. It's not a bottom yet. I want to be very cautious on that. I still think Bitcoin's going down further. But like I said earlier, this is the beginning of the last flush. I think, again, flush down to 10, maybe 9. And then I think there you start to put in a bottom.
BTC is currently trading above the $16,700 level and is trying to retest the breached resistance as potential support. If BTC can hold the gained initiative, it might trade above $18,000 by the end of this week. On the other hand, Ethereum has also gained by 5%, trading above the $1,200 level. A potential upward move could soon take the coin's price to the $1,300 zone.
So I think that's twofold, right? So number one, we have to know what's a security and what's a commodity. And Bitcoin, basically, we know is a commodity. So that's a different case. But I think before you can figure out the fundamentals, we need to know what type of reporting they have to do, what type of auditing they have to do. We need to know more about them. But like for something like Ethereum or even something like Cardano, maybe Polkadot, there's a lot of layers of things built on top of them. So there is intrinsic value there. There is a fundamental use case, and they are being used for certain things. It's just we don't really know to the extent. We don't have any numbers. Like when Apple reports earnings, we know exactly how much revenue, what is their earnings, what are their guidance. You get some sort of sense about what the company is valued at, or at least you can value it. And we don't really have that in crypto yet. So I'd like to see more of that where we can actually gauge these projects and what their real value is. But for me, for Bitcoin, it's saying, okay, well, I still believe that even though the Fed will be reluctant to print money for years, eventually we'll get in such a bad recession or depression, they're going to be forced to. And therefore, fiat currency, again, is going to be diluted more and more and more. And you're going to need something like Bitcoin. Gold is great, and I'm a huge gold fan. But I also think you want a digitalized gold where you can buy and sell it very, very quickly versus if you buy, yes, you can buy an ETF that tracks gold. You can buy the gold futures. But if you hold gold, it's not that easy to sell it and buy it versus Bitcoin, which gives you a little bit more freedom. So that's kind of the line I'm on right now in terms of fundamentally, I think absolutely Bitcoin has a case. Ethereum has a ton of things built on it. Those definitely will survive. And I think the value comes in on this flush.
Crypto prices plunged this month after the collapse of Sam Bankman-Fried's FTX empire. Now investors are watching over crypto companies to see how far the contagion might spread. Genesis, a digital asset brokerage, warned of possible bankruptcy unless it can raise cash.
What are your thoughts on Sam Bankman-Fried, the person?
So, that's such an interesting kind of aspect because, to be honest, I don't know enough about him to pass judgment. I think that, the question is, did he know what he was doing was seriously wrong? Or was he in this position to where he thought he was invincible and he would just be able to maneuver these assets and get out? And then obviously during a bear market, kind of the issues show up and it creates the catastrophic collapse. So again, it's really tough to see, but I think the bottom line is anyone that's a custodian for billions and billions of dollars needs to build their team correctly around them where they actually know the legalities of it. They know the rules. They know what they need to do. And it doesn't seem like he was doing that. And I think that's the major issue. So he needs to be held accountable. There's no doubt about it. He 100% needs to be held accountable.
Unlike stocks, Bitcoin can be traded on many different exchanges, but Binance has more than 50% of the entire crypto market, and as a result, it sets the price of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies.
So the question is, if you leave money on an exchange, what exchange is the exchange you want to leave it on? I would generally, and I'll tell you this, I have money on Coinbase. Another one is Kraken. Kraken supposedly gets audited 2 times a year. Coinbase is a publicly traded company, so you would assume that they're held to a higher standard because of the SEC's involvement. So, it's very risky right now to be having money on an exchange, but I will admit that I do have money on Coinbase, and I feel a little bit safer by doing that because they are a publicly traded company under the umbrella of the SEC.
So, do you agree with Gareth Soloway's new outlook on Bitcoin bottom and bear market? Tell us in the comments. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you soon with the next video. Thank you so much for watching.